Hey Gunetics, welcome back to UGA. This is Boss. We are going to be looking at the Raytheon Thermal-Eye. It's a terrific piece of kit if you're thinking about dipping your toe in the thermal pond and you're not sure if you want to lay down, the kind of money that they're asking for thermal optics. This is a product that I would wholeheartedly steer you towards. Absolutely have loved it. We've used it for about 2 years now, and we take it out pretty much every time we go hunting. It actually has changed the way we hunt. It's changed the way we engage in the field, and so I did want to spend some time to do you justice and do this product justice before I sell it. Now, you might ask, if I really enjoy the product so much, why would I sell it? Well, I've actually gone from this unit as a test bed and feeling a lot of trepidation when I laid down the money for this, because I'm not in a position financially where I can just afford to throw money around. So when we looked at this product, we were actually trying to maximize the time we'd spend in the field hunting pretty much deer and elk. And we get all summer to scout, but we only get a day or two, and when I say we, my brother and I, to hunt during the fall when season opens up, just due to my occupation. And so when we're out there, we wanted to try to increase the odds that we would be bringing home meat to put in the fridge. And so some of you guys might think, hey man, that's BS, you're cheating, dude. Using this is cheating. Well, I would try to steer that around and look at it from another perspective. I'm sure that bow hunters look at guys with guns and think, hey man, those guys are cheating, dude. That's BS. Or, I'm sure a guy with open sights says, hey, using a scope is cheating. Maybe a guy with a 30-30 looks at a guy with a 6.5 Creedmoor and says, hey, dude, shooting out to 600 yards, dude, that's cheating, man. What is ethical hunting? Well, I think it really depends on you, your perspective and your goals and your objectives. So when looking at thermal, we were trying to find a way to increase our effectiveness that worked for us. And this was a terrific, viable option, but I did have my reservations. So I want to spend a little time today talking to you just about what it's done for us and how it's changed our hunting. And that way maybe you can see how it might fit into the way you hunt. And you might think, hey, this product isn't for me, but you also might think, hey, this product might be for me. So that's really my goal here, is just to try to share that information. So how can you use this? Well, one way that it can be used is we go out and we scout in the fall, or prior to hunting. Sometimes in the summer we'll spend time scouting. We'll go out on the range, and it could be the desert, or we'll go up to the mountains here that surround us, and we'll get on a hillside, or we'll get out there and we'll scan. And you might think, well, you can do that with binocs, or you can do that with spotting scope. Well, yeah. The whole point is increasing visibility of game in the field. That's what those products do. And some guys spend a crazy amount of money on their spotting scope. They might spend $2,000, $2,500 on that. Maybe on their optic on their rifle. Some of those cost a couple $1,000s, and some guys don't bat an eyelash. But when it comes to thermal, it's like, whoa, hold on, that seems like a lot of money. And I agree. For me, $2,000 anytime, $1,000, that's a lot of money. For me, if I want to buy something new, I gotta sell something old, and that's why I'm selling this product. And I'm selling this to make a transfer over to a thermal device. That's how much I love this product, and it is heartbreaking for me to do this, honestly, but it's just a tough choice that I'm gonna have to make. So when you're in the field and you're trying to increase your visibility, this product is absolutely outstanding. And you can use it to scan a mountainside, and animals that would blend in you would never see, all of a sudden they pop out. And if it's during the day, you just pull out your binocs or your spotting scope, you get on, you see exactly what you've got, because you don't know, maybe at a half a mile or a mile, what you're looking at. And this thing is sensitive enough, it can see way out there. The thermal signatures it picks up is absolutely astounding. But that brings us to the issue of identification versus detection. So you can detect a game way out there, but identification becomes a tricky issue. So during the day, that's not an issue. You grab another optic, check it out. At nighttime, however, it does become a bit of a dilemma. So how far can this see, and how far can you actually know what you're seeing? Well, I think over time, with experience, I started to learn the way animals moved. So because we started transferring the way we hunt. We started hunting, deer and elk with this, and we ended up transferring mainly to coyotes. We hunt coyotes all the time. It's pretty much almost all we do anymore. It seems like if I think about hunting and want to go hunting, we're going out coyote hunting, and we can do that all winter long. The downside is during the winter you've got shorter days, longer nights. It's dark more than it is light sometimes, and we get to a point where after we get done with work, boy, you don't have a lot of time to hunt after work because it gets dark. Same thing even on the weekend. You have this gap right there at dawn for several hours, and then you got to stop. Then you have to go back out in the evening. Well, my brother and I took this out on a hunt, and what we found was we noticed a lot more coyotes coming in because we used to hunt just standard daylight hours. And I think what happens is they're very wily animals. They blend in very well. They're sneaky. They've got a strong survival instinct, and we just didn't notice. I think he and I both are very observant. We pay attention. But what we noticed when the first time we took this out was that we had about twice as many hits per stand that we normally did. So we were hitting like 1 in 5 to 1 in 7 was probably the ratio, depending on the time of year, etc. And those odds we thought weren't bad. Sometimes we would get lucky, obviously. We'd have more hits than that. But I mean, if you really boiled it down, 1 4, 1 in 5, somewhere right in there. It's pretty consistent. And when they start denning up in April, then we're looking at probably like 1 in 7. You're going to be closer to their dens in order to draw them out. So when we took this out, we were getting probably 1 in 2 stands, 1 in 3 stands. And I'm not talking about one coyote. We're talking about we're drawing coyotes 1 in 2 or 1 in 3. So we became really aware of the fact that our vision and what we'd missed in the past was probably questionable. It's surprising the number of coyotes that we probably let go, and therefore we increased the number that we were getting actually. And so we were sitting around one night and we started thinking, hey, man, this thing works just as good at night. And we started toying with the idea of getting a lamp, maybe doing some spotlighting. We started looking at night vision, and we ended up settling on night vision. And we ended up buying a piece of kit, a Pulsar DFA 75, and we will do a review on that later. Actually, I've got some footage already cut for that because I really love that particular piece of kit as well. And in conjunction with one another, these are fabulous combination. This and night vision is absolutely outstanding together, and that's kind of why I wanted to do this review. Those of you who are predator hunters, I'm not sure about bobcats, etc. I don't have the patience to sit and wait 45 minutes, honestly, for a bobcat. If a coyote comes in, I'm taking it, and we have enough coyotes out here that typically is what happens. So we put the trigger down on those. So we'll basically take this unit and spot. We have one guy spotting and one guy on night vision. So the spotter will sit there and just scan. We get the call running, scan, see what comes in. We get a hit, we got some movement, or we got something coming in, and it might be 600 yards out there. I might not know that they're coyotes, but I do know they're coyotes. I know the way they move through the sagebrush. I know the way they move through the fields, and you kind of learn that as you're using the device. And you might say, well, boss, hey, what if it was a dog? You're right. I'll be straight with you. If a dog was coming in at 600 yards, I'd have no idea if it was a coyote or a dog, probably. They do have similar body shape, style. They move very similarly. So that does become an issue, because if you're out hunting around other people's property, you might have a call going and a dog comes in. But what I found is that at about maybe 100 yards or so, 125 yards, I can definitely differentiate a dog from a coyote. I think the only exception would be maybe a German Shepherd would be the one I would question. And so if I am asking permission to hunt on property, I usually check the neighboring kind of residences and ask what kind of animal they've got. I might just introduce myself so they know that I might be out there shooting late at night on the adjacent field, etc. And so I do make sure I pay attention to whether or not they have a dog that looks very much like a coyote. Although with the night vision, when we couple those together, it becomes pretty straightforward when they're coming in 100 to 40 yards, which is pretty typical for most of our night hunts. So I've got some footage actually of a dog at 40 yards in the video. We broke this in parts, so I've got all the clips and camera work in another video. So you can take a look at that dog and see for yourself, could you differentiate? And I believe you can. I certainly can. I can out to 80, 100, 120 yards, right in that range. I start to know exactly what I'm looking at when it comes to a canine. So this piece of kit has basically transferred us from hunting a handful, I won't say a handful of days, but a lot more scouting and a lot less hunting to a lot more hunting. Crazy amount of hunting. We went out this weekend. I was thinking about going out tonight. We're going out this coming weekend. I know my brother and my son are planning to go out. And so I've spent a lot more time in the field because of this unit. And is that worth it to me? Heck yeah. The 2,000 I think or so I spent on this, absolutely. For the 2 years of work I got out of this thing and how it's changed the way I hunt, it absolutely was worth every penny. So those are the two things you really need to consider. Detection, which is just way out there, versus identification. So if you're looking at cows, etc. at night, or deer at night, and they're 300 yards out, I'm not sure you're going to be able to tell what you're looking at. You might not. Depends on if they're solitary. It depends on if they're standing still. All those things are going to be clues and indicators to what you're looking at. But if they're moving, a lot of times you can get a pretty good idea of what you're viewing. So regardless of how sharp that image is at distance, you might just see a white dot out there. But when it starts moving around, you get a pretty good feel for what you're looking at. So let's take a look at the kit really quickly. I don't want to keep you guys all day. I know you guys have busy lives. So let's see what you get with the kit. First, let's talk about the case itself. The case itself is a very sturdy, rugged case. It's waterproof. It's 100% solid. I take this out with me every time. We just put it in the car when we need it. We pop it out. We hike out in the field, etc. It does have a water-approved barrier along here, a rubber seal, so when you close it, you're not getting any water or snow or anything is getting inside of this unless you open it up and expose it to it. So the kit itself, as you can see, comes with the thermal optic itself. Hopefully, if you were to buy a kit like this and you were to spend, I would say, $1,000 to $2,000, man, at $1,000, you should pat yourself on the back. You got yourself an outstanding deal. If you spend $2,000, you're going to get every penny's worth out of it. I wouldn't feel bad in that price range. Lower, oh my gosh, you're the man. Anyways, what I would hope you would get by spending that money would be the case. Absolutely. Unless you have some other method of transporting this and carrying it around, the case that Raytheon designed is perfect. On top of that, you're going to want to get a charger for the battery, because this thing does run on batteries. It's like a camcorder in some respect. It uses we're using a Duracell camcorder battery, but there's any number of variety of these batteries as far as brand name, etc. available. So you're going to want one of these or two of these. There's a compartment for both. We put our video cam in this side, but you put a battery on both sides, etc. We found that a battery lasts pretty much all night. I think there's only twice that we've had this thing go out on us, and we don't use it in continuous mode, so I don't have it running all the time, and we'll talk about that here in a second. So you're also going to want to get the car charger. This is handy. Those 2 times that we ran out of juice, I plugged it in and we were good to go on the next stand. So that's very, very convenient. You're going to want one of these. Other than that, the manual's kind of nice. You can find this online though, so it's not a make or break situation if it's not there. But and then absolutely you're going to want this bad boy. And I probably should mention the AC wall charger, so that goes with the charging unit. So, but let's take a look at the features of this particular unit. It's about the size of an older camcorder, and but when you hold this, you're going to notice how rugged and solid this device is. And you know, I've actually pulled this open just to look at the seal here to see if this is waterproof, and they do have a rubber barrier in here. I didn't go any further than that. I just wanted to know how much could I expose this to the elements. Now, we don't go out and pour in rain. We have to deal with, you know, when we get 90 some odd % humidity and it starts raining out here in the desert, you know, things start fogging up. Like this eyepiece, we went out once, it started pouring on us, and this eyepiece did fog up. You know, I did the old spit, cleaned, etc. But to be honest, it just I don't enjoy that anyway. So it depends on your climate as to how well and how well this is going to hold up for you in a really, you know, a wet environment. I just don't know, because we live in the desert. Most of the days we hunt, it's snowing lightly, you know, not an issue. A little light rain, not an issue at all. Fog, not an issue at all. So, but heavy rain, I don't know. The one day we did have a little bit of fog, so, but we called it good anyway. It just kept coming, wouldn't stop. So, on the tip of this, you're going to find a rubber cap. Now, if this isn't on there, I would say pass. This lens is your geranium lens, and they're expensive. The last thing you want is a bunch of scratches on this optic. And this lens, even though it looks like it just comes on and goes off really easily, which it does, in the field, it stays on there really well. It just doesn't want to pop off really easily. And so that's very convenient and protects that lens. The other thing that Raytheon did really well is they made you a adjustable hand strap that's generous. We can put gloved hands in here. We can adjust this, tighten it up, loosen it up, and it is strong, it's sturdy. I've never once had a feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm going to drop this thing. Because when I'm holding $2,000 worth of electronic equipment in my hand, last thing I want to do is drop it, you know? So in 2 years' time, not once have I ever felt nervous that this was going to come loose or that this handhold was not going to support this unit in my hand. So kudos to Raytheon for actually providing a solid, decent handhold for this unit. The other thing that you're looking at is this shoulder strap. Now, this is something I would not have thought I would have enjoyed so much or would have even needed. If the unit had come without this, I would have probably figured out a way to sling it over me. But that they provided this, it's been absolutely outstanding. I can be carrying a gun, backpack, might have my call in there, etc. I might have shooting sticks in my hands, and I just sling this over my shoulder, and when we see something in the field, basically I just reach down here, put my hand in, pull it up, pop this off, let's get this out of the way, pop this up, turn it on, check out what we got, okay, close it down, cap it, back on my side, and we go. And it's perfect. The thing is, when you're looking at this, it's got this tiny little ring here. You know, this metal ring that the clip, this plastic clip attaches to. And I look at both of these two features right here, and I'm thinking, man, that's cheap. This rotates, but I'm thinking, how could this hold up? But man, we've had this out 100 times or so, and it's just been 100% bulletproof. The ring still has its original shape and bearing. The plastic here has never given us a problem, and we're not gentle, so we've put this through some abuse, and this unit has just held up just outstandingly over the last 2 years. So you've got an adjustable eyepiece and an ocular adjustment here in case, you know, you're nearsighted maybe and you need to see this LCD, but it's off a little bit for you, just like you know, any kind of scope or binocs. You can make an adjustment here to get in focus. So other than that, pretty straightforward. It's got a 1/4 inch mount here for a tripod, which is convenient. And you're going to notice in some of my video that I'm shaking all over the place. So I do apologize. I kind of felt palsied. We haven't done a lot of video footage in the past. We've just started to get into developing this channel. And so we're learning a little bit. And I do have the equipment now, but since this is going out tomorrow, I'm shipping this. This guy bought it. I'm going to get it out to him ASAP. He spent the money, so I feel like I need to get this into his hands as soon as possible. So I don't have time to go out and redo all the footage, but you're going to notice that my hand is shaking. You don't realize it when you're looking through the eyepiece. It might be kind of like when you're walking and your head's moving, but you're focused on something with your eyes. You really don't notice that, you know, all that movement's happening. But when you transfer that to a computer monitor or, you know, the screen, wow. So I do apologize for some of my camera work, and hopefully we'll see an improvement with that use of tripod in the future. So, but they do have a mount here. So as far as user functionality, when you're out in the field, what are you messing with? So really the only thing you're going to be messing with is turning this on, getting the cap off. Probably you've already got this focused for your eye, so you might change the angle some. I usually just kind of leave it just as is right here. And the only other thing you're going to be engaging is the interface right here. And it consists of two buttons, but primarily you're only going to use one. And it is this button right here, which is basically focus near and focus far. So you fire it up, turn it on, bring it to your eye, your hand comes up, it's in a natural position to use your index and middle finger to make those adjustments, and that's it. That's pretty much what you're going to need. Now you do have this mode button that goes into advanced menu. It allows you to change from white hot to black hot. It allows some sensitivity changes, etc. But honestly, I find for me, I set it on white hot. You're going to see in the videos that that's what I tend to prefer. I tend to notice game better in white hot, which is when you see a thermal signature at distance, it's going to glow white if it's warm. Black hot is the opposite, so it's going to turn dark. I would just advise, if you're going to look at thermal, to find out what works for you, what your eyes like, and how you tend to be able to differentiate game better in the field. And I know that Armasight, ATN, etc., there are some thermal optics out that come out with color modes, but I think that a majority of people using thermal that I've spoken to in the past, they typically, even with those other color ranges, they tend to settle more exclusively on white hot and black hot. Those are the two most used in the industry when it comes to detection and identification. So you can make those changes using this mode button, and there's a select button to move through the menu. So that's all the more complex this unit is. Very straightforward. Great design, easy to use. I will talk one last moment. I did remember when I was talking about the battery, how we don't use this 100% in the field, just leaving it on all the time. This unit has a pretty straightforward power system. You turn it all the way up to turn it on, and that turns on the LCD screen and the unit. But if you come halfway in the middle, and it has audible clicks, so you know if it's in the dark, you're hunting coyotes, you can hear it click on and off. And you can feel it. Sometimes with gloves hands, I'll be honest with you, if I'm wearing thick gloves, I know where this is and I have to push down, there it is, to get her to go on. But it's not a nightmare, it's not a real challenge, it's just something I'm aware of. So, but you can move this halfway down, and basically what that does, it puts it in standby mode where the LCD screen turns off. So it does conserve power, and I will throw this in. And that click, it is audible, but we've never had an issue with coyotes or any kind of game being aware that when we turn this on and off, spooking them. So the last thing, video out, you've got an RCA jack here, standard RCA jack, video out. And that's the one we primarily have been using when we got this video recorder to be able to record some of this footage for you. And they do have S-video out, which, I mean, I don't know that I have anything that even connects to this, even though it's probably higher resolution than the RCA. RCA is coming out at 800 by 600 on this particular unit that we're recording to. But I know this S-video is capable of higher res, but I don't even know how we'd connect it to any of our recording equipment. So anyways, long and short of it is, I absolutely love this device. I would highly encourage those of you who predator hunt in the day, if you want to get into night hunting and you're seriously thinking about it, instead of just going straight out for night vision, I would tell you, get thermal first. Keep day hunting. You will be blown away, and then get yourself night vision. Or maybe you'll be like me and you'll decide to upgrade to a more expensive thermal optic for your rifle. But the reason why is because when we go out with night vision alone, if we don't take this with us, say I forgot to charge a battery and we're just like, let's just go out. It is so much more challenging. Trying to spot game, it's a whole different experience. This really is a joy and a stellar piece of equipment in the field. And I'm sure there are other devices out there other than Raytheon, but I think at this price point, from $1,000 to $2,000, man, you are getting a lot of value for your cash. So anyways, this is Boss. I hope you enjoyed that. I know it was an abbreviated version. It's a pretty long review. Those of you guys who stuck with me, I appreciate it. I hope you check out part 2 of this particular discussion, and I'm not going to do a lot of talking in it. I'm just basically going to show you guys kind of some footage. And even though I want you to keep in mind my horrible out of focus sometimes and shaky camera work, that maybe what this can do for you, or what it would look like in the field, so you kind of set your expectations. And I'll be straight with you, when I watch the footage, I know when I'm looking through this eyepiece it's better than what's there, but it does give you some kind of example. So thanks for hanging in there. We look forward to catching you next time, and this is Boss out with UGA. Take care.